Hi there, this is Terry from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is this large gift box. It measures 4 inches square on the base and 5.5 inches tall. I've decorated it using some of the All My Love papers and also the Daisy Delight stamp set and coordinating punch. I created this box to hold a gift for a friend, and it's one of the larger Yankee candles. This one weighs in at 12 ounces or 340 grams, so it's quite heavy and the box needed to be able to support that weight. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the scoring, and I'm using my Simply Scored board, so all the scoring measurements will be in inches only. Now you need 2 pieces of cardstock of your standard size cut down to 10.5 inches. So your shortest side, if you're using A4, will be 8.25 inches, or if you're using 8.5 by 11, it will be 8.5 inches. Starting with the shortest side across the top, you want to score down at 4 inches and 8 inches. And then turn your cardstock so the long side is across the top and score down at 4 inches and 9.5 inches. You want to repeat this now for the other sheet. So with the short side across the top, score down at 4 inches and then 8 inches. Now I'm using A4, so my card is 8.25 inches wide, so that just gives me a 1/4 inch section on the right hand side. If you're in the States, you'll have a 1/2 inch section. The lid for this box is created from a separate piece, and this measures 5.5 inches by 4 inches. Now you want to put this into the scoreboard with the longer side across the top and score down at 1 inch and 5 inches. There's just a little cutting to do on these pieces. First of all, you want to remove the top and bottom corner sections on that narrow tab. Now remember, if you're using A4, this will be 1/4 inch. If you're using 8.5 by 11, this will be slightly wider at a 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to cut those away first of all, and while I do that, I'm going to slant cut the top and the bottom of that remaining tab, and this will just help the box come together a little neater. Now the next thing I'm going to do is separate the bottom tabs, so I'm just going to remove the score line. So you're just taking away a very narrow section, and that creates the 2 bottom tabs. At the top of this piece you have 2 rectangular tabs. You want to keep the one that's closer to the narrow side tab and remove the other one. So I'm just following the score lines and cutting that away. I'm now going to repeat that for the second piece. So I'm going to remove the corner section above and below that skinny tab. Then I'm going to separate the 2 tabs on the base of the box, cutting away the score line. And then finally I'm going to cut away one of the top sections, the one further away from that narrow side tab. On the lid section you have a 1/2 inch score line and then a 1 inch score line on the opposite end. Now on the 1/2 inch score line, just slant cut each end of it, and this helps the box come together a bit neater. Then on the 1 inch score line you want to round the 2 corners. On the main pieces, you also want to round the corners of that tab that you left on the top of each section. Now you will need to fold on some of the score lines to get access to each of these corners. You can attach the lid to either of the other main sections, and you position it where you cut away the piece on the top. The glue goes on the 1/2 inch section, and then you want to position that tab on the inside of the box so you can't see it from the right side. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and fold on all the score lines and reinforce them with your bone folder. On the other main section, I'm going to add a part circle just to help you open and close the lid. So I'm marking the midpoint, which is at 2 inches, and then I'm going to use the 1 1/4 circle punch just to punch out a part circle on that top edge. You then want to also fold this piece on all the score lines and again burnish them with your bone folder. Now I do like to decorate my boxes when they're still flat if I can, but I am going to go ahead and join the 2 main pieces together at this point. You don't have to though if you don't want to, you can leave it till later. So just add glue to that long narrow tab on the side and then join the 2 sections together. For the sides of the box, I have 4 pieces of the All My Love Designer Series paper, and then I also have 4 pieces of lovely lipstick card to mat these onto. Now the lovely lipstick card measures 5 1/4 inches by 3 11/16 of an inch, and the Designer Series paper measures 5 1/8 of an inch by 3 9/16 of an inch. In metric, that's 13.4 centimetres by 9.4 centimetres for the cardstock, and 13.1 centimetres by 9.1 centimetres for the Designer Series paper. For the lid of the box, my lovely lipstick card measures 3 11/16 of an inch squared. Then my Designer Series paper measures 3 9/16 of an inch squared. And in metric, that's 9.4 centimetres squared for the card and 9.1 centimetres squared for the Designer Series paper. I've added all the side panels to the box, and now I'm going to flip the box over so I can see the inside, and I'm going to punch out that part circle from the decorative panel. So I'm just aligning it with the crumb cake cardstock, and then I'll just punch that. If the pattern on your Designer Series paper has a specific orientation, so if it goes in one particular way, you need to be careful when positioning the next panel onto your lid. Now, first of all, decide which of the side panels you want as your front. Now, I decided I wanted the one with the lid attached to be my front panel, but if you want the other one with the part circle cut out, you need to make sure your pattern is going the other way. Then you can add glue to the reverse and position it onto the lid of your box. I'm going to do the stamping for the lid next. Now the lovely lipstick layer is 2 3/4 inches square or 7 centimetres, and the Whisper White layer is 2 5/8 of an inch square or 6.7 centimetres. I will be using images from the Daisy Delight stamp set, both the leaf images, one of the flower centres and the large daisy. I'm stamping with soft seafoam ink, and I'm going to stamp the outline leaf first into two of the opposite corners. Then I'm going to switch to the block leaf stamp. I'm going to stamp off and then stamp to fill in a little colour for each of the leaves. These two pieces can then be glued together. I'm using Lovely Lipstick ink to stamp the daisies. You need to stamp 6. I'm only going to stamp 2 here because I've already prepared the other 4 that I need. I'm then going to use the soft seafoam ink to stamp just one of the flower centres. I'm using the 1/2 inch circle punch to punch out the flower centre, and I'll add a dimensional to the back of this, and then I'm using the large daisy punch to punch out the 2 daisies. Next I'm going to create the tag. My Lovely Lipstick layer measures 3 3/4 inches by 2 inches, or 9.5 centimetres by 5 centimetres, and the Whisper White layer measures 2 7/8 inch by 1 5/16 of an inch, or 7.3 centimetres by 4.6 centimetres. I'm going to punch the top of the Lovely Lipstick layer using the scalloped tag topper punch. For the white layer, I'm using Lovely Lipstick ink again to stamp the daisy, and I'm going to stamp it twice into opposite corners, and I'm just offsetting that second stamp slightly to fill in more of the petals. I'll then stamp the flower centres using soft seafoam ink. You can then add the stamped layer to the tag. I'm using the Floral Frames stamp set for the sentiment, and I'm going to stamp this in Lovely Lipstick. And I've just got a scrap of Whisper White card here. I'm going to cut this out using one of the layering circle framelets, one size up from the smallest. And then to create a mat to go underneath it, I've got a scrap of crumb cake, and again I'm using one size up from the smallest in the scallop circle dies. I've layered all these stamped pieces onto their respective mats, and I've also added dimensionals to the reverse. Now the sentiment can be added to the centre of the tag. As I said, I've already prepared 4 of the daisies, so I'm going to show you what I did. I took 2 daisies and I added glue to the centre of one of the flowers, and then I stacked the other one on top, just offsetting the petals. If you're using wet glue for this, you need to give it just a second or two to dry, and then if you take a bone folder you can shape the petals. Now you need to be quite gentle when you do this because the daisies are quite fragile, so I'm holding the daisy centre in my left hand between my thumb and forefinger, and this is just supporting the flower while I shape the petals. And then I can go ahead and add a dimensional to the reverse. All you need to do then is stack each of them on top of the other. Once you've done that, you can fluff up the petals if you want to, and then finally add the flower centre. You can then add the stamped panel to the lid and then position the daisy on top. Then you can add the tag to the front of the box. I'm going to use some of our Whisper White 1/8 of an inch sheer ribbon just to create a little bow to go on the front of that tag. Now I think I probably used about 12 inches or 30 centimetres to create this, but I left it on the reel so I can't be exact here. Then I'm going to attach this to the top of the tag by using a glue dot. Now all the decorating's complete, I can finish putting the box together. So I'm going to add glue to that remaining long, narrow side tab and then bring the other side over and glue it together. Before I glue the base of the box, I want to close the lid. This will keep the box nice and square as I glue the base. You want to fold the back panel tab in first of all, and then add glue to the remaining 3 tabs. Then you'll fold the side tabs in next, and finally the front tab. And this will give you a lovely clean edge on the front of your box. Then you can add your gift. And here is the completed box. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.